The anti-trade viewpoint may sound like a polarizing viewpoint, and it may sound like we are trying to stop a logical solution to the Rhino crisis. We can assure you that is not so. We have gone through all the different possibilities, the different factors that will inform why people should choose one route or the other. There are 4,000 horns from yesterday's information that must be decided on whether it must be sold or must be kept or must be destroyed. There's the three options. What we're going to do in today's presentation is we're going to go quickly through the history, the demand reduction strategies, how to devalue or degrade rhino horn, scientific analysis of the horn, comparison of the composition of horns, what horn contains, the medical trials that we are asking for, what happens in Vietnam, etc. We all agree that traditional medicine or TCM rhino horn has been around for perhaps millennia. In the 17th century, it was written in a book that, in a Chinese book, that TCM prefers rhino horn to relieve heat, as it is understood in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Now, whether this is traded now at the moment as jewelry, and you can see the background picture there is a shiny piece of horn that's been shined up and carved, yet it's still being used as medicine, it's still being ground in the same ceramic plate. So if there's an argument that it's now jewelry or bling, it is still connected to its value as a medicine or a belief. And it's 20 times the price of ivory. Ivory is also jewelry or also bling, yet rhino horn is 20 times the price of. This tells you that there's something different with rhino horn. Of course, we support demand reduction. There's a lot of people that claim that demand reduction can go hand in hand with trade. Clearly that is not possible. We have to choose one, we have to choose the other. Does an international ban work? Between 1960 and 1992, now 1992 is a significant date, the black rhinoceros population declined by over 97%. In 1992, China, Vietnam, Korea started banning international trade, and the black rhino population has increased. The white rhino population has always increased because of the security of the Kruger National Park. Now, do the bans work? Yes, they work. What we must understand is that the demand reduction campaigns by all of these companies and all of these people that spend a lot of money in commercials and in demand reduction efforts do not want people to talk trade, because it flies directly in the face of their efforts, and it costs a lot more money to send a message there that the demand has to be reduced. And we have been asked by the world at CITES to strategize how to reduce demand. People are already doing it. What we are doing here today is making it difficult for them. Clearly this has to end. Statistics show that horn that's infused does not get poached. There's no evidence of any rhino, not one, having been poached for its horn where there were signs visible that they were infused. We found that the horn in itself, without having to be infused already, is dangerous to humans for ingestion. It does warrant safety tests before any form of trade can be considered. This is a prima facie unsafe medicine. Looking at which part of the horn is most preferred, at the base of the horn where it starts, the new horn grows, the melanin is not there yet, and it's not strong yet. Now melanin makes it a lot stronger, and the disulfide bonds cannot be as easily broken as with new horn. On the ceramic dishes that they have and the people that use the horn and grind it to make it bioavailable, or some of the amino acids at least bioavailable, to create the effect of reducing heat, that bonding strength is dependent on the amount of melanin in the horn. Very importantly, of course, this means that even dehorned rhinos are still poached. Rhino horn is similar to water buffalo horn. Similar, but not exactly the same. Of course, we all know the saiga horn. The saiga antelope is being poached or reduced, but water buffalo is a domestic animal. And should these people insist, and I'm talking about the users, the 2% of people that believe that it has effect on them, should they insist on using it? Water buffalo horn has been proposed as an alternative and proven in tests to be more effective. There's a reason for that. We will look at why. Rhino horn, of course, when you grind it, is somewhat less bioavailable, becomes somewhat less bioavailable than water buffalo horn, first of all. Secondly, it has a little bit of a different composition of amino acids, ratios, we call it. And it's this ratio of amino acid that's important in the next slide. I've shown it at the bottom. Very important amino acids. If nobody can read that, it says phenylalanine. So, if you look at the ratio, you need to know that the ratio of phenylalanine is higher, and that is significant because phenylalanine, without being balanced by other amino acids, is a dangerous substance to the human body. Of course, there is a specific illness called PKU, or phenylketonuria, which does cause problems directly, but even without PKU being a factor. There's been tests that says brain serotonin changes in phenylalanine-fed rats, for example. It's been proven. There were cognitive tests done with mice. Phenylalanine high ratio is a problem. Very importantly, there was in 2011 an article in the Chinese Journal of Toxicology that says aspects of autism. Does rhino horn cause autism? It was an article in China, and that alerted us to this matter. Asian rhino horn causes troubles. The Chinese doctors recognize that it's a direct cause of autism. The Chinese university in 1992, we all know of that study, said that water buffalo horn is better, aspirin is better, paracetamol is better, etc. In Taiwan, in 1995, there was an actual double-blind medical trial, a double-blind, placebo-controlled medical trial, that resulted in a total ban on rhino horn in Taiwan, and then also resulted in Korea a complete ban by decree. In Vietnam now, people are starting to recognize that rhino horn in general becomes dangerous, is not healthy. Very important. If we do not consider the risk, we will open the taxpayer to risk lawsuits. Considering that it is common cause that it's ingested by humans, provisions need to be made for each possible lawsuit. That is what we need to understand. GOVT 19, generally recognized accounting principles. When a government entity obtains opinion from its legal advisors, now I would like to see this opinion, legal opinion, happening before we are in a position to decide whether to trade the stockpile or whether to keep it or whether to destroy it. A good way to destroy it would of course be to give it to Eskom so we can all have a bit more power. It burns hotter than coal. We also lastly ask that the rhinoceros horn, instead of going to CITES in October next year and asking to sell the stockpile for money, we ask that it be reclassified to Appendix 1 and that we understand these are wild animals and that we need them in the wild. And that on farms and enclosed areas, they will be cattle. Thank you. I'll take questions for clarity. We've extensively looked at the Spartamy saga, and of course, if the presentation was longer today, we would have presented that. I did touch on it very briefly, explaining how the cognitive functions of white mice were impaired, fed aspartame specifically, and also any other combination of amino acids that has a higher than 3.8% ratio to the total amino acids. It becomes, of course, the realm of medical trials, and that is why we ask for a double-blind, placebo-controlled, long-term safety test medical trial before any of these discussions are made, because we don't know. Unless there's a medical doctor here that has already studied that and placebo-controlled with a double-blind test. I know of only one such test that was made, and that was a short-term test in Taiwan in 1995. Nothing else was done. Nobody else seems to care whether it's going to be damaging to humans. So we're asking that someone starts caring.